Welcome to the Hazard Interview. I'm your host, Maggy Martinez, and today we are diving into the recent crisis in Dekalb County schools. Joining me is Senator Emanuel Jones and candidate for Congressional District 13, who will share his insights on the Superintendent Devon Horton alleged embezzlement at Evanston District 69 in Chicago public schools and what it means for the student, parents, and taxpayer here in Georgia. We will discuss accountability, oversight, and the steps needed to protect our schools and communities. Stay tuned. This is the conversation you don't want to miss. So let's dive in.
Radio presents Starbound Studios starring Maggy Martinez and the Hot Seat Interview. Y ahora con ustedes, Maggy Martinez en Caliente. And now, Maggy Martinez.
Here he is, Senator Emanuel Jones. He's running also for Congressional District 13 that covers Rockdale, covers Lovejoy, Hampton, Stockbridge, and what's the other county that covers?
Well, it covers all of Newton County, and of course the biggest part of the district is in Gwinnett, Snellville, and right up through Lawrenceville and Lilburn, and of course Grayson.
It's important that you know that because sometimes we say District 13, but what encompasses
And
District 13?
let's not forget Newton County out in Covington as well.
Right. So don't forget to go to his website because it's a lot of information there for you. But Senator, we need to unpack what's going on in the DeKalb district school system. People, when I saw it the first time, I was like, is this happening in DeKalb? Where this really happen? And let's unpack for the citizen so they understand what's going on.
Well, I think it's important to know that Dekalb County hired their superintendent, Dr. Horton, about 2.5 years ago. Prior to that, he was the superintendent up in Evanston, Skokie, I think District 65 school system, much smaller school system. And while he was up there were some allegations being made, and of course there's a 17-point indictment for actions that he took in awarding contracts. And part of that is also a kickback scheme that he is allegedly to have been a part of while he was a superintendent up in Evanston, Illinois.
So this is like, I got a couple of friends. Oh, let's come over. And I give you some contracts so people understand what we're talking about. And then, okay, you're going to get a contract for $200,000. So when you get paid, you could send me a couple of donations so I can make it happen for me, right? That's basically what it is. It's called a kickback or kickback, but whatever it is, it's not okay. It's not okay because right now, all that money could be centered to the students of Evanston Skokie District 65. The Fed stepped in and he got indicted. So we're talking about Superintendent Devon Horton, which 2 weeks ago he had to resign to his position. But it's sad to know that he's still getting paid $33,000 a month.
That is correct. And that's because of, quote, the golden parachute that he was given by the current board members in the DeKalb County schools for his resignation.
But the thing is, he already got indicted. Just that alone is telling us a lot of stuff. Well, tune in every Thursday at 8 p.m., YouTube On Demand. Now, YouTube has what is called the live premiere where the guests can answer questions directly. So just click in and make sure you send your questions. Now, I wrote a book. It's called The Secrets of Campaigning. So you think you could run, 40 years of experience. Buy it for your daughters. Buy it for a friend that is running for office. Or buy it for yourself so they know exactly what a candidate goes through, right? Senator, because it's a lot. It's not that easy, right?
That's correct.
And
I have my copy.
You got your copy for sure. Well, if you feel it in your heart, we have to buy equipment and all the stuff that we need to continue with this conversation, the progressive conversation. That's why we call it the Blue Room, because it's for our candidate from the Democratic Party to bring their perspective. I don't think their questions are not real. They are real. Every guest that comes to the show say, oh my God, these questions are hard and hard. I say, yes, they're real questions because we want you to have the right perspective, and not only that, so you can make an informed decision when you are ready to vote. Well, Senator, well, what steps do you think the state should take at once to protect the students and school funds here in Georgia?
Well, let me just explain to you that the state of Georgia charters all of these school districts in the state of Georgia. We have about 180 different school districts in the state of Georgia. We control that charter. Um, and the state has a responsibility in ensuring that all of the school districts are performing the duties and responsibilities that they've been tasked with the education in regards to our students. So that's a critical issue. And I think it's important that everyone understand that the state of Georgia does have a role. We are the ones who contribute the funds. The Dekalb County school system is the third largest in the state of Georgia. They have a budget in excess of $2 billion, and that's a lot of money that the taxpayers of Georgia, and particularly the taxpayers of DeKalb County, contribute to the education of the schools K through 12.
But the board oversaw this happening because we have Dr. Let me find her name because I don't want to misspell her name. Dr. Joyce Marley. 2 years ago, she saw it coming. In 2023, she said, because she saw the red flags. So you think the whole board needs to go home?
Well, Dr. Joyce Marley was one of the 7 board members duly elected by the citizens of DeKalb County who served on the board. And when the vote was taken to hire and to extend a contract to Dr. Horton, she was only one who objected. So it was a 6-1 vote with Dr. Joyce Marley objected. And the reasons why she objected to Dr. Horton is because she was aware, and she said this publicly, by the way, of those allegations up in his previous school district of some improprieties that he had been accused of doing. And of course, since that time, we've seen that Dr. Marley was absolutely correct. Those things that she was aware of 2.5 years ago when he was selected for this position have in fact those same things he's been indicted of in the 17-count indictment by the federal government.
She saw the red flags.
Not only you're correct, she did see the red flag, but I suggest to you that the other 6 board members should have seen the red flag as well, because there's allegations been made that the same material that was presented to her was also presented to the other 6 board members.
So they say there were 10 candidates for that position. Then he went into the 5th candidates, and then from the 5th position, he went to the 1st position. So something there is not really adding up, because this guy has 2 bankruptcy, one in 2006 and one in 2015. So a person that doesn't know how to handle their own finance, their personal finance, how can they handle a multi-million-dollar budget?
Or a multi-billion-dollar budget. There certainly were a lot of red flags early on, and I think Dr. Joyce Marley was correct. There was information out there on the blogosphere, as you will, regarding some of the allegations that he's been indicted of. And from what I understand in talking and having conversations with Dr. Joyce Marley is that she received a package prior to the vote. And inside of that package was detailed information on these allegations that had been made regarding Dr. Horton and some of the things he had done in his previous position up in Evanston, Illinois.
And she also mentioned that she got that package the day before they took the vote. So it's a lot here to unpack.
That is correct. And not only did she get the package, but I understand all of the other board members got the same package.
So the way they did the scheme is like, okay, you're my friend. I establish a company. You give me the contract, and then you give me the kickback. That's how this functions. And I am a firm believer that when your integrity is not there, it's not going to be there if you go to another state or another country. You're going to do the same thing, right? So How do you propose improving oversight in the DeKalb school system to prevent future financial misconduct?
First of all, it's incumbent that um, those of us that's in the state that represent any part of Dekalb County understand that we have a responsibility to the taxpayers. It's also important to understand that there is a duly elected school board and that it's critically important, and I say this every chance that I get, that we understand who you're voting for. We understand the person's background. We also understand their character. And with a duly elected school board, it's critically important to hold them responsible for their fiduciary duties, not just to the school system, but also to the parents and those of us in the communities that have a vested interest in DeKalb County.
But the board saw that there was red flags right there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't you think this board needs to go?
I believe the process needs to work its way out. One of the things that I've done, and I am very critical of this board for, the lack of oversight and the lack of due diligence in the hiring of Dr. Horton. But I believe that the state has responsibility as well. And one of the things that I've done is I've reached out to our governor. I've asked the governor to come in and do an investigation. The school board itself has called for a forensic audit, and forensic audit's okay, but that's going to tell you what monies have been misappropriated. The governor, through our state school superintendent and through our school board association and through the local delegation of DeKalb County that I'm a part of, we have a responsibility in ensuring that those members that serve on the school board
That's the
are
law
doing
called
what's in the best interest of the school.
The 2010 law, that's the one that will apply in this case?
If in fact the governor decided to take action and remove board members, then that law would come into effect. I was serving in the Senate when we passed that law in 2010. And that law basically gives the governor the authority, if you will, to come in and remove one or all of the school board members in the event there is some impropriety in any kind of way.
Well, it happened in Clayton County. I don't know if
It's
you
happened in
recall, like
Clayton.
in 10 years ago,
In
20 years ago.
2012, 2013, it happened in DeKalb County when 6 board members were removed. It's happened in other school districts across the state of Georgia, by the way. That legislation has been used. Anytime board members have done things that's not consistent with their duties and responsibilities.
Talking about the forensic audit, we are talking about something that could cost up to $10,000 or $600 an hour. A forensic audit is very expensive. Does the forensic audit really will tell us what's going on?
And of course, it depends on the firm as well. And it also depends on how much flexibility the firm is given in the work that it's been tasked to do. But forensic audits are always a good start because that's how you trace the money. And that's what happened up in Evanston, Illinois as well in the previous school system. They did a forensic audit and found out certain things were missing. And not only do you look at the practices and procedures and how the school system is operating, but you also look at all the contracts and outside vendors that the school system is paid for the work allegedly that they've been hired to do. And what happened in this case up in Evanston, Illinois, is that they were essentially some shell corporations that were created. And those shell corporations that had attractive names, by the way, were given contracts. But none of that work was ever done. But yet they sent invoices to the school system.
It's a nice business.
Yeah, and they were paid. They were paid those invoices even though no work had been done.
You spearheaded a bill to protect DeKalb school, right? Either it was DeKalb or Gwinnett.
DeKalb. I've always represented DeKalb County for the last 21 years that I've served in the state senate. And I serve on a local delegation. In the local delegation, we have the ability to write legislation that impacts the DeKalb County school system. And I've authored several bills that have impacted DeKalb County.
Among those, you had one that APS, Atlanta Public School, wanted to get that part, right? And you initiated that one.
That's correct. That legislation was challenged, by the way, and essentially what that legislation did is that in parts of the county of DeKalb, the city of Atlanta had extended its boundaries. And of course, the city of Atlanta the Atlanta public schools wanted to take over those schools that's within that part of Atlanta that was in DeKalb County. And my bill essentially said no, those school systems belong to DeKalb County, and those students that were in those areas that was annexed by the city of Atlanta did not mean that the Atlanta public schools automatically would come in coterminous with the city's boundary lines and have those students go to Atlanta public schools.
So they wanted the best schools of DeKalb, right? Basically.
That is correct, because the parts of DeKalb County that Atlanta essentially annexed were around the Fernbrook area, they're around the CDC area, and those areas around Emory University.
That's a nice way, right? Well, what policies will you support at the state level to strengthen checks and balance on school spending? Because it seems like this has not stopped. We don't have like really something to grab on and say, hey, listen, we have this in place so this doesn't happen again.
Well, I don't want you to think that the state of Georgia at the state level does not have any kind of jurisdiction over the dollars that are spent in these school districts. Every dollar that's spent has to be accounted for. We have a state school superintendent, Dr. Richard Woods, and the state school superintendent works directly with all of the school systems across our great state.
Well, how can the community stay involved in monitoring school finance to restore trust? Because right now the parents and students don't have trust in the system.
Every school system has a budget. And I think it's important, and those budgets are approved in open meetings. And I certainly hope that all of our parents and all of the members in the community will take the time to review the budgets for their school systems. That information is made public, and when those budgets are created, that really is the time to hold those school board members accountable, because the school board members in DeKalb and our other counties, by the way, are elected by districts. DeKalb County is a large county, and they have 7 different school board members. And each district gets to elect who their representative is on the board. And that representative should be responsible to the community. It gives the community an opportunity to ask questions about how the dollars and tax dollars are being spent that they're given and they're trusted with. And at that level, that's where those conversations need to be had.
Well, but in DeKalb, they did a good job, evidently, because look what happened. So many candidates to be the superintendent, and look what happened. They choose a person that basically had a background that was not clear. It's evident, right? Well, political leaders often face pressure in this crisis. How will you balance your role as a state senator with the urgent need to address the DeKalb school situation?
Well, I've been an advocate for education all of my life, by the way. I'm a product of public education, happened to go to City of Atlanta Public Schools. And I believe that it's critically important that our public schools provide the very best education, that we are able to hire the best educators, and that we invest in all of our kids, kindergarten through 12th grade, by the way. And as an elected official and being a product of public education, I understand the importance of our tax dollars making the investment in each of the schools and each of the school districts across the great state. And throughout my 21 years that I've served in the state senate, I've been an advocate for public education. I've been an advocate for school systems. We don't want to try and micromanage any of the school districts in the state of Georgia. That's the school board's responsibility under the purview of the state of Georgia, particularly our state school superintendent. But it's important to know that every school system should be held accountable for every tax dollar that they're given, and that every board should be held accountable for any decision they made, particularly in situations like this where it appears that they did not do enough due diligence to understand that this superintendent has some issues that should have disqualified him
immediately.
from being the superintendent of DeKalb County Schools. Absolutely.
It's so important that people understand out there that when you choose a school member, because they're elected officials, that these people have a good background, especially in education and finance. We cannot keep putting people in place where they cannot even read a ledger of a finance budget, that they don't even know what's divided in the budget, that they don't have the 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 educational background to really understand what they're reading. Because if this city councils in the CAP had that, I will say, abilities or education or experience, this will not happen. Do you agree with me?
With the school board, yes.
With the school board.
Oh, absolutely. And not just on the school board, but in DeKalb County, but every county in the state of Georgia. Some counties have, of course, multiple school systems. That's why there's roughly 180 of them. But I definitely agree with you.
We need to check those people that are running for office. If they don't bring to the table the necessary tools and knowledge, we should not be electing them, because now we see the consequences that we are suffering right now. The bottom line, who suffers here? All those money that should be there for education and teachers and salary, now we have to spend all that money on forensic audit, all the legal aspect of this that is going to cost the COPS school system, and so on and so on. This is just the beginning, Senator. This is just the beginning.
What when you're forced to spend resources like that, it takes away from being able to spend those dollars on educating our kids.
Yeah.
That's the part that's tragic in all of this. We should not lose sight of our kids and the resources that they need throughout the school system, and the monies that the taxpayers are allocated to educate their children.
Well, sometimes everything is sometimes just common sense, right? But solutions are important, and being able to be transparent in the process is important too. What concrete actions will you recommend to the governor and the state board of education? Because at this point, everybody needs to get involved. Not only the local level, we need to talk about the state level. We need to talk about the governor. Right now, to ensure that justice and prevent similar misconduct.
Well, we do have a state school board association. I would recommend, one of the actions I would recommend is that the governor asks the State School Board Association to come in and do a review of what happened in this case, so that the governor will have information as well. From the school board, I would also get the state school superintendent involved. The state school superintendent sets policies and procedures and practices. We have to ensure that with DeKalb County, that those policies, procedures, and practices have been followed. In addition to that, I do believe when you have a person like Dr. Horton, who's been indicted on 17 counts, that it's important that we go back and ensure that all of the taxpayer money in DeKalb County has been accounted for, and that none of these alleged kickback schemes has occurred in DeKalb County. We don't know that yet. So to that extent, I would certainly ask the governor to ask our attorney general or the inspector general to get involved to make sure there's no criminality in some of the contracts that have been awarded by Dr. Hort in the DeKalb County school system during the last 2.5 years of his tenure. And I say that because it's already been brought to my attention that some of those things may have happened, that he is alleged to have done up in Illinois, that may have happened in the DeKalb County schools as well. That's important. And the only way to get the answer and to find out for sure if that's done, and a forensic audit is going to show it, we need the governor to come in and ensure that the attorney general and the inspector general is doing a criminal investigation.
Well, the ripple effects are significant. What impact do you foresee on student programs, staff morale, and local taxpayer if this issue isn't addressed swiftly?
Well, like I said earlier, we don't want resources drained out of the DeKalb County school system. We spent unnecessarily on issues regarding governance. We need to ensure that we have the very best members on the school board, and they're making the best decisions in the interests of the DeKalb County schools District, which is a very large school district, by the way.
It's the third largest one in Georgia.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
And that's critically important.
Well, Senator, look at that camera and make a call to everyone that needs to get involved in this.
Well, as I've stated earlier, I'm asking the governor's office to get involved, and I will also add that the governor's office has been responsive in listening to some of the pleas from the citizens of DeKalb County. The issues that we are determined that need to be addressed, aside from Dr. Horton, is issues dealing with governance, issues dealing with the fiduciary responsibility of board members, and issues dealing with perhaps how those tax dollars within our system has been spent. May be criminal, we don't know. But I know the governor's office and the resources in the state of Georgia, all of those resources should be made available to undertake an investigation to ensure that the DeKalb County school system funds that it's received, its tax dollars that it's received, has been used for the intended purposes. And I believe very strongly that the governor should take the lead in this case.
Wow. Well, Senator Jones, thank you for coming to the hot seat interview.
You're more than welcome. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you. Well, I want to thank you and shedding the light of this critical issue facing DeKalb County School. Remember, stay informed, stay engaged, but don't forget to go out and vote. I am Maggy Martinez, the hot seat interview. Until next time.